Hello everyone, welcome back to Just My Stupid Opinion on the 29th of May 2019. Today I wanted to discuss the Bilderberg meetings of 2019. I also want to use an excuse to test out the new mic and make sure it works properly. Hopefully now it'll be a better sound quality, since I paid pretty good money for this one. Anyway, so Bilderberg 2019, these meetings are coming up in just a matter of days. Now, usually in the past, when Bilderberg announces that they're having these meetings, which happen annually, and they have since 1956 or something like that, usually the location is known well in advance. But this year, they withheld it for some time. We only found out a day or two ago that the meeting were going to take place on the 30th of May, so that's starting tomorrow, all the way to the 2nd of June, which is Sunday. So that we just found out, and really the main reason that people seem to think that it took so long for them to release it is because in Bilderberg last year, what ended up happening was a reporter from, I think it was the Daily Mail, she ended up getting herself in with the staff of the hotel where it was taking place. And because of it, she managed to get some more details, some more information than normally would be available, considering that these sort of meetings, there's no recording, there's no video of what's going on, there's no transcript. These are very secretive meetings amongst some of the world's biggest elite in politicians, in industry, in technology. Technology being a big one over the last few years. So she ended up embedding herself inside of the hotel staff where the Bilderberg conference was taking place. And apparently many people from the Bilderberg group were outraged by this. So they ended up being a lot more careful this year in how they were going to release this information. And they wanted to give as little time as possible. I already know that when this ended up coming out, that Luke Rudkowski from We Are Change, he ended up almost immediately booking a plane ticket in order to get out there, and he's on the ground now. It's taking place in Montreux, Switzerland, which is the French side of Switzerland. There seems to be a strong presence of French and Germans in Switzerland. So he's already on the ground there. He's already said that he's been harassed by security over there, which is something very commonly that ends up happening in these Bilderberg meetings, is that journalists and protesters are usually faced with a heavy hand, and that the security there, as well as the police, tend to harass them. In fact, Luke Rudkowski, I believe it was 2017, ended up getting arrested. And even Dan Dix ended up getting arrested back in the 2014 Bilderberg, I think it was. And they're not the only ones to have gotten arrested while attending Bilderberg and trying to get information there. They're very secretive, but they also have a tactic in which they try to get people arrested, but also harass them in order to leave. And one way that they do this is they tend to either get their local security, but I believe it's usually the police that the local police that they get, in order to raid these people in the middle of the night. They would do these raids in order to try and intimidate these people, get them to leave, prevent them from reporting on what's going on, or even just protesting it. Journalists are a big target of the Bilderberg security teams and the local police. So this year, the list of participants and the agenda has been already released. And it says here that the key topics that are on discussion this year are 1. A stable strategic order. 2. What's next for Europe. 3. Climate change and sustainability. 4. China. 5. Russia. 6. The future of capitalism. 7. Brexit. 8. The ethics of artificial intelligence. 9. Weaponization of social media. 10. The importance of space. And 11 is cybersecurity. So these are the topics that they're going to be discussing about, and the idea that Bilderberg tries to present is that they're coming together to try and figure out these issues that are really facing society these days in countries all over the world. Many hold a very sinister point of view as to what the true intentions are of these. One reason is because nobody knows what's really spoken about in these meetings, and we're talking about we're talking royalty amongst several different nations. We're talking about politicians. We're talking about industry and banking leaders, tech leaders that come together. You know that they're plotting something. So they may say that they are, for instance, they want to say what's next for Europe because they're concerned about the conditions of Europe. I'm going to take what they're telling us with a huge grain of salt, that what they're really talking about, in my opinion, has to do with how to control the average person out there. And this is why they're bringing out tech giants, especially these days, an AI specialist, because AI is going to be the way that we're going in the future when it comes to tech. It's going to be involved heavily in war. It's going to be involved, and already is involved heavily, with our own personal lives. You look at someone like Alexa, or the Google equivalent of that. We know that it's always listening. We know it's collecting your data. And in fact, there was a story maybe last year where it was talking about how Alexa collected a bunch of data on a individual and then sent that data to nobody really knows. It got sent somewhere. I don't think they ever really tracked down who it got sent to. So you have no doubt that AI such as Alexa is being used to spy on us. It's probably already being used in war, since the military always has advanced technology that's not available to the public for years, if not decades after. As a friend of mine put it, when a new piece of technology hits the market, brand new piece, it's already obsolete. So for instance, when the iPod Touch, which was supposed to be revolutionary when it came out, when that hit the market, it was already obsolete, and it had been used for years by people such as the military or the intelligence industries. The intelligence agencies, I meant to say. So this is what they're going to be talking about. And if we look at the list of participants, so there's a long list, and right now they say that about 130 people 130 individuals from 23 nations have confirmed that they are attending Bilderberg. And it's quite possible that there's many more who are going to be attending or teleconferencing in that we don't know about. But these are the ones that Bilderberg has put out through their own website. And we're just going to look at a few ones. I would say that everyone on the list is someone of interest, someone to be paying attention to. But these are the ones that stuck out to me and who we should pay attention most to. So we have Jose Manuel Barroso, who is the chairman of Goldman Sachs International and the former president of the European Commission. We have Mark Carney, who is the governor of the Bank of England, and some of you may remember me mentioning Mark Carney recently, because in the video I did where I talked about the banking system is a con, I believe that was the title of it. It was just a few videos ago. Mark Carney was also one of the governors of the Bank of Canada. He was, and after he left the Bank of Canada, he went over to serve as governor for the Bank of England. So he's dipping his pen in both company ink. Now the one that will apply to us here in Canada is the fact that we have one politician of ours confirmed that is going. And this is François-Philippe Champagne, and he is the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities. Now, there's been a whole list of Canadian politicians in the past who have gone to Bilderberg, and we'll get into some of those at the end. Some of them are still players in today's politics. We have Jared Cohen, who is the founder and CEO of Jigsaw and Alphabet Inc. Alphabet Inc. is Google, essentially. It is the parent company of Google, and so Jigsaw is a subsidiary of Google as well. Matthew Daniels, the New Space and Technology Project, Office of the Secretary of Defense from the USA. We have Richard Node, who is the CEO of Goldman Sachs International. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn and partner of Greylock Partners. Henry Kissinger, chairman of the Kissinger Association. He's a pretty well-known individual. I'm sure everyone knows who I mean when I'm talking about Henry Kissinger. We have Jared Kushner, senior advisor to the President Donald Trump. He is also the son-in-law of Trump, who's married to Trump's daughter. And many people have also talked about how Jared Kushner, and this is true, has connections all the way back to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and how even at one point Netanyahu stayed at his house and even slept in his bed. So well connected back to the USA and Israel. We have Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft. We have the King of the Netherlands, who's going. And we got Robert E. Rubin, Co-Chairman Emeritus, Council of Foreign Relations, former Treasury Secretary of the USA. Eric Schmidt, Technical Advisor of Alphabet Inc. Jens Stoltenberg, who's the Secretary General of NATO, currently. And Darren Walker, President of the Ford Foundation, and the Ford Foundation has been one of those groups that you gotta pay attention to. They're one of that groups that is within spitting distance of George Soros and the Open Society Foundation, and they've been very influential when it comes to trying to manipulate the way that immigration is played out in the West, especially in America. So these are all probably the biggest individuals that I pay attention to. I'm sure there's other out there that I probably missed. It's a pretty long list, but I don't believe these are all 130 individuals like they say. Just because it seems rather small of a list still for 130 people, but I didn't go down the list and actually count it out to make sure there are 130 people. So as I said, Luke Rudowski of We Are Change is already on the ground, is going to be reporting on what's going on. Dan Dix, I believe he is going. I don't think he's there yet, but I did find this GoFundMe from just a couple days ago, where he was looking to raise $2,000 in order to attend Bilderberg 2019. So far, he has $1,695 raised by 32 people. So he should be there on the ground, and he's been one of those people that have been consistent of going to report on Bilderberg over the years. I don't even know how long he's been going there, but he and Luke Rudowski have met up several times during the Bilderberg. So Canada is we're only sending one politician. There was someone else on here. I didn't really seem it necessary to add, because I'm not actually sure. I didn't really look too much into there, but name is Louise Arbour, Senior Counsel, Borden Landner Gervais, LLP. That one I did see. That's another Canadian going. But really the main one is this François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Infrastructure and Communities. Now, like I said, there's been many Canadian politicians who have attended in the past, including prime ministers. Not necessarily while they were in office, but have at least attended it before then. And I think maybe a couple I'd have to double check again what year they attended. But one is that, and one politician I do know that has attended a couple years in the past, who's not there this year, is the finance minister, Bill Morneau. I know he was there in 2015, and I think he was also there in 2017 and possibly 2016, so he's been there. Former prime ministers, Stephen Harper has been there. Jean Chrétien, Paul Martin, Pierre-Elliott Trudeau, they've all attended it in the past. And then we also have Jason Kenney, who's been there. Brad Wall, who's the former premier of Saskatchewan, they've also been there, as well as several other premiers across different provinces as well. That's pretty readily available information. You can just even look on the Wikipedia page for the Bilderberg Wikipedia page, and you jump down to Canada, and it's got a list of these people. There are more who have been there, but they're not on the list, although Wikipedia gives you the very basic information, not necessarily the best well-researched information. But these are the people who have gone there, so we see how world leaders all over the place have been there. And even in these ones, there's prime ministers that are going across the world. But even in ourselves, as far as I know, Justin Trudeau has not been there, but he does have representatives who've been there many, many times, including Bill Morneau, who is a close associate to Justin Trudeau. So what's going on behind closed doors is not exactly clear, but what it does seem clear is that it is going to be, whatever is planned there is going to be used to dictate how things are run in the future. It's going to be used it's going to be used as social engineering against us. One thing they talked about is the weaponization of social media. Well, we've seen how lately it's been leading up to more and more censorship since the Christchurch call to action, but even before that. Going back to February 2018, Justin Trudeau was telling Facebook that they need to get a handle on their fake news problem or face more restrictions. And we've been seeing this over and over again. Plus, we have the bailout money that has recently just been announced, the $660 million, which he's put a anti-conservative union on there. So You can see how this is all being used to manipulate and censor everyone right now, and this is exactly what they're going to do. And when they're talking about weaponization of social media, that's the weaponization of social media against these individuals, which means that they're going to be pushing for more censorship. And we already know that when it comes to censoring in the US, Facebook agrees with them. Mark Zuckerberg agrees with the Democrats when it comes to censoring social media. They want that. Even though recently, I just saw something, I think it was on CBC like last night or two nights ago, where it was talking about how one of the head of Facebook was pretty much daring the government to shut down these platforms. They know that the government isn't going to shut it down, but it's all part of the game because they are going to implement the censorships that they want. They are absolutely going to do it, and they're still going to benefit. They're still going to make billions of dollars off of it. Despite the fact that Facebook and YouTube and even I think Twitter as well, even though all their stocks keep dropping, they're still bringing in billions of dollars. They're not even close to shutting down yet. So a little more censorship against the people who are causing damage to both these social media companies as well as the government that's lining their pockets. Absolutely, that is going to happen. And this is the whole point of the weaponization of social media. And then they're going to be talking about stuff such as Brexit and Russia and China. There's a lot more that's going to be talked about that we don't know about. So, in the meantime, I know for a fact We Are Change, their YouTube channel, is going to be reporting on this. Feel free to check back on with them. They'll be giving you updates. And keep your eye on Press for Truth too, because if Dan Dix is going, then he'll also be updating us on the situation. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm Adrian Lloyd. This is just my stupid opinion.